So learning how to learn, the development of the mind. So what we like to think is something called executive functions help us to learn. And these are your attention, your inhibition, so stopping yourself from doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Your working memory, so this relates to the information coming in from the environment, coming in from your senses, and how we process that and make use of it. So the most dramatic growth for these aspects of learning and cognition are from the age of 3 to the age of 5. And they are considered to be really important in your academic achievements and getting the most out of your academic life. So I've actually got a little paragraph that I'm going to read out just to put that into context for you. So this is just a scenario of school. After free play, a teacher asks children to put away their toys. A child must inhibit their natural response of wanting to continue playing and clean up their area. Next, the teacher instructs the children to either finish their art project or join circle time if the project is complete. The children must rely on working memory to remember the directions while deciding which next step to take. The child may have to shift from this response to his or her art project if it's not finished. As children advance through grade school, these demands become more complex and require additional reliance on executive function skills. So I'll leave that there, but hopefully that's put into context some of the underlying brain mechanisms that help academic achievement. I have put a note on here that we all get distracted and we all lose attention, and especially during this pandemic, it might be harder for children. It's harder for us as well. So just keep that in mind. If children are distracted and losing attention, stop what you're doing with them, let them have some downtime, and then maybe come back to it. Shorter learning times, so doing 10-20 minute slots, is going to be so much more effective than getting your child to sit down for an hour and do learning. Let's just sort of kind of zoom the PowerPoint. I can't zoom it anymore because I can't see the comments after. I'll leave it at 80%. See if that's any better for you. So active learning, healthy body, healthy mind. This is really important to keep not focus only on your academic learning, but keeping your whole mentality and your whole body healthy during this time. So what do we mean? So as it is, integrating moving into academic tasks, there's so many different ways you can do it. Just using concrete objects instead of just pen and paper. This will help get the oxygen flow into the brain and just help you gain so much more out of the learning experience. Make it wider. That is, I'm not sure if you can see something different to me. Is that any better on the PowerPoint? If I make it that size. I'll keep going and watch out for the comments. If I put it on full screen, then I can't see the comments. Maybe like that. Is that better? All right, I'll carry on. So strengthening networks in the brain. So the part of the brain that processes movement is the same part of the brain that processes learning. So they're really interlinked, and always keep that at the forefront of your mind. Sitting for ages at a table is not going to be beneficial. when we combine academic tasks with movement, we strengthen the neural connections in the brain. So I've tried to put a really simple explanation of this in the picture in the top right. Basically, it's a process called myelination. And when you are active in your learning, your body goes through a process of myelination. So the neuron develops more, which then helps faster communication between areas of the brain and faster processing. So your brain can connect a lot more, use a lot more regions, and it'll also help strengthen the learning experience, improve your memory and retrieval because you've got more connection in different areas of your brain, and enhance motivation and morale. Motivation and morale is obviously a huge one in this pandemic. Getting the children to be motivated in their own learning and increase the well-being is huge. And if we can do that through active learning, that's great. It has been linked, tabletop learning versus active learning. So children who are more active in the learning tend to have higher academic grades in general. We can't read your slideshow. Oh no. I'll put it up on full. And then I'll just take it down to see if there's a comment. Can we see that more? I'll leave it for 30 seconds and just check the comments. Is that better? Let me just check. Can't read it still. I'll put it on full. I've messaged to see if you can put it on. Is it better like that? You can read it. Okay, I'll leave it like that. I can't read the comments, so all the comments I'll go through at the end. I'll put it on full now for you. I'll put this PowerPoint up at the end as well, so the slides you've missed at the beginning, you can access. So effective learning at home. So these are just a few key points that I've noted to watch out for. So being willing to have a go, in general, just motivation to learn. Having ideas, being active again in the process of the learning, and that'll always come from if the children have interests, if you're using their interests to support the learning. For example, if they really like cars, what can you do with cars to support that? It might be counting the cars, it might be creating new shapes with the cars. There's so many different ideas. Just get creative. And this will really motivate the child, help them maintain focus, and give them something to have a go at. Making links, connecting and testing ideas. So this is about challenging your child, asking them questions. Can we do it this way? Can we do it that way? What's happening like that? Why is this happening? So this, for example, if you're building a model, what shape can we use for the head? How can we connect the arms? How can we connect two different materials together. It can be the smallest thing. You don't have to do anything huge and spend loads of money and challenge yourselves, put pressure on yourselves. Just use what you've got and get creative. Then the top right corner, there is a wheel just to break down the process of how a child might make links, connect and test ideas. And there's a nice quote in the bottom that says, play is often talked about as if it was a relief from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. So just keep in mind that to get academic achievement from your child, it's not always just about doing maths, doing addition, doing subtraction, and writing. Personal, social, and emotional development. Obviously, very challenging during the pandemic. But what we mean by this is managing feelings and behaviour, making friends and maintaining relationships, self-awareness and confidence. So by doing all this and protecting the well-being of the child, they'll have more motivation. You'll see more of those characteristics of effective learning at home. And subsequently, they'll probably progress in their academic learning as well. What we expect to see. So if they're cooperative with others, understand others' ideas and thoughts may be different from their own, form positive relationships, and show sensitive to others' needs and feelings. Activity ideas. So this little girl has made a den under a table. Just get a bed sheet or something and a couple of cushions, and this will make a really, really nice communication friendly area that'll be really good for you to have some quiet time with your child, away from your busy life at home. You might be working from home. Obviously there's lots of distractions at home. Just take away from all that, and it'll give opportunity to just have quiet spaces. You can use pictures, you can use books, what's happening in the picture, how do they feel, how would you feel? And it just opens up a conversation about how they might be feeling and how they might be coping in this pandemic. So time out and give time as well. Not in the sense of time out if they're being irritable, but just wind down time. We all need it. You need it as well. And part of this is learning without interruption. So give time for learning. Give that 20-minute block instead of an hour, because over an hour, all the interruptions that's going to happen will just inhibit the learning that you're trying to achieve. And the first one, and the first comment on here, is routine and goals, and this is massive during the pandemic. That will really help you as well as your child. So I've got an example. So a school day, I'm not done this based on in England, but a school day here would be 6 hours, so 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Subtract an hour and a half for breaks and lunch. Subtract 30 minutes for group time. Subtract 30 minutes for taking on and off coats, sitting down and sitting up, and lining up. Subtract 15 minutes to give out books and equipment for each lesson, and it's 15 minutes for morning registration. So your actual learning time in school will be about 3 hours for a 6-hour day. And in there, there'll be interruptions as well. Obviously, they're talking to their friends. The teacher might have to repeat something. So it's just being aware of your expectations of how much work your child should be doing during the day. A good way to do this is set yourself some goals at the start of the day, at the start of the week. What do you need to do? How can you get it done? And why is it important? Are you setting yourself goals that aren't essential? Supporting physical development. I'm just going to jump down for a second to check the comments. Okay, I think we're good. Carry on. Physical development. So this will tie in with the active learning we were doing. So we mean movement, coordination, and health and self-care as well, not to be forgotten. And what we expect to see, so children have a good understanding of what it means to be healthy and safe, and they can manage their personal needs, and they have good control and coordination of large and small movements. So small movements like grasping something. It's currently recommended that children have 3 hours a day, which is actually quite a lot. This obviously doesn't need to be intense physical education, but just be aware that how long children are sat for, whether this is in the downtime or sat doing the schoolwork. Activities idea. Home Olympics. So this is a really good way of just using what you've got. So I've put a picture up in the top right corner of some chairs, some rope, some string, some stones, and just getting your child. The children can make them make it themselves, but getting them to go under things, over things, manipulate their movements, not instead of just straight running or straight walking. They can also help plan, organise and lead the events. So they can use stopwatches or the timer on your phone to see how fast they can run. They can get the tape measure out to see how long they can jump. You know, you're incorporating a lot of maths into that, these kinds of activities as well. Obstacle courses. A great way to get some different movements in there. What I have seen children doing is putting different coloured cones or different objects outside, and each object or colour, it might even be different colours pieces of paper, is a different movement. So one might be star jumps, another might be running on the spot, another might be turning around on the spot, and you shout a colour. So colour blue, do star jumps, they wouldn't do the star jumps. And the children have actually got to remember which colours or which movements. You can mix them up and change them. And it's a really, really good idea to challenge them and to challenge the physical development. Manual helping tasks. So let's not forget that everyday tasks, such as making the bed, folding the bed sheets, do incorporate a level of physical development. So when you fold a bed sheet, you've got to pinch the corners, match the corners together, fold it, and then fold it again. That's a really good way of just getting them to help out during the day. That will be beneficial to the learning as well. Supporting language and communication. So listening, understanding and speaking. What we expect to see, listening in different contexts and situations, maintaining attention and respond appropriately, effective expressions of their thoughts, feelings, ideas and needs, sequencing ideas and explanations, and listening to and following instructions as it is. So the first one, listening, this is a huge one that can often be forgotten about because it's such a simple thing that we think we all do all the time. Actually, if a child doesn't respond to a question straight away, we should be giving them 10 seconds thinking time, which if I sit here and count 10 seconds now, that's actually quite a long time for us. So just be mindful of the amount of questions you're asking a child at once. Can they remember it all? Can they then form their answer and articulate it in the time that you're asking those questions? Open-ended questions. So who, what, where, when, why, how. So the little girl in the picture obviously found something in the garden. she might have so many creative and different ideas. So instead of us as the adults going over and saying, oh, you found a caterpillar, ask the child, oh, what's that? Where's it come from? Why is it there? This will allow the child to engage their brain in the activity, motivate them to respond, and just allow them to be creative and enhance their academic thought processes. Repeat keywords, phrases, and extend ideas. So if your child has difficulties with pronunciation or is still developing language, repeat the correct pronunciation so the child can hear it again correctly, but don't let it take away from the conversation. Adding words and extending their ideas as well will be great for their language development. Obviously, the more vocabulary they hear, the more their vocabulary will develop. So listening games inside. This is the beginning of reading and writing as well. So listening to sounds in the environment. Can you hear? Maybe play some music. Oh, what instrument is that? Another one I have that, if you would like it, is something like this. So all it is a picture, a really simple picture. I hope you can see it. And the aim is to get your child to colour in. So colour in the trousers blue, and get your children to respond appropriately to the instructions. It's a good one, that. Move on. Supporting early literacy. So the role of phonology. If you're not sure what this means, it's the sounds in each word. So I've put an example on there. So snack, it begins with s. Apple, ah. Tall, t. The word bed would have 3 phonemes in it, so 3 sounds, but d. And it's the child's ability to hear those separate sounds and then connect them together to hear the full word. The role of fine motor skill development, I'll go through this again, I believe. Oh, physical development, this is what it connects to. So these are your small movements. So obviously we've got your large movements in your Olympic Games, you're running, you're crawling, you're spinning. But once a child has developed those gross motor skills, they will be able to start refining the fine motor skills, so holding a pen, as you can see in the bottom corner of the picture. So once a child has developed an ability to hold a pen properly, you can really start focusing on the early writing. Onto the activities. So phonics, letters and sounds. So when you say a word, if they are struggling, you can separate the sounds. So cat, cat. See if your child can blend those sounds together and recognise the word. There are progressive phases for this. If you Google phonics, letters and sounds, it should be quite easy to find. Regular and irregular words. So I've printed this out, and it's just a list of high frequency words that you can build on. Maybe pick five a week or something. Build on the familiarity with your children, and it'll help them when they come to the reading. Sentence building. So you don't have to print anything off for this. You could write a sentence, then cut the words up into separate words and get your child to build that sentence back together. And then they can have a go at writing the sentence as well. Storytelling. So that's a great one for verbalizing story, so the start, beginning and end, and then maybe write it down as well. All fun activities to get them engaged in the literacy. Early mathematics. So I've not gone into too much detail on this because a lot of the time maths is incorporated into other aspects of development. So for example, your physical development, your measuring, your pouring, your building. So your activities, ideas, baking. If you're making food, if you've got a new recipe, let your child get involved. Let them measure things. Let them see the numbers. Is it heavier? Is it lighter? How much do we need? So fractions for cooking: 1/4 of a cup, 1/2 a cup, 3/4 of a cup, 1 cup. The cubes here, this is connected to your active learning. So you've got your concrete objects there. So instead of getting the child to just sit down and say, what number's this? What number's this? What's this number? Add this number. You're manipulating objects to help that learning process. Point 4 on here, so inhibition control. There's some really good games for this. If you get a picture of a moon and a picture of a sun, get the child to say day for the sun and night for the moon. Then swap it round and get them to say day for the moon and night for the sun. This will really, really challenge your children's brain development. They really enjoy it, the children, and help them work on their inhibition control. Special educational needs. So this is the last one, I think. Sorry if you've commented, I can't see them because I've put the presentation on full, but I will go through them at the end. So conveying information in different formats. Visuals is your huge one if your child has special educational needs. On the next slide, I have examples of how you can incorporate this into their learning. Focus on their primary needs. At this time in the pandemic, don't pressure yourself to push your children to achieve academically. You know, if they're not happy, if they're having a difficult time, it's much more important to focus on their well-being than it is for their academics. Try to develop an awareness of your child's triggers and maintenance factors. So if they have hyper or hyposensitivities, have these changed? Have the triggers changed? Is there something in particular that happens that starts problem behaviour? And can you change these? There's so much information online, but just having an awareness that the different environment can possibly affect the triggers that might start problem behaviour. So some resources: visual timetables, huge one. Even if your child doesn't have special educational needs, it's great. This is the photo in the bottom right corner, the one that says hospital, injection, feeding tube, relax, physiotherapy. Online, and I'm happy to provide these as well. There's loads of different pictures that you can use. And it's really good if you start the day by showing the child visually what's going to happen and what the plan is. It helps them have a lot more consistency and a lot better understanding of what to expect in the day. This will lower stress levels and hopefully make them more calm. Social stories. So online, and I've actually got an example of one of these. It's basically just a short story, incorporating lots of pictures that's personal to the individual, and will tell them of what is happening and what to expect. So there's one about the pandemic to just help them actually understand what is happening. They might not know. It might be totally new to them when you give them a social story. So talking about emotions as well, we'll move on. These blob tree photos, you can get these on Google Images if you just type in blob pictures. So the idea of these is it's very neutral, but as you can see, all the faces have different emotions. So you can work through this with your child and see, you know, if there's a certain picture or certain characteristic of an individual that they are focusing in on. So, for example, the number 5 on the floor, the blob that's sad, you know, is that them showing something about how they are feeling as well? Emotional scale, so the bottom left picture, is a great visual for your child to tell you, of how they are feeling that day. We all have up days and we all have down days, but recognizing that in your child and you knowing whether they've got a good day or a bad day will help you plan and hopefully make the day flow a lot better if you know what to expect. Colourful semantics literacy. So this relates to our sentence building that I was saying. So writing a sentence out, cutting up the words and building a sentence back together. However, different colours mean different words in the sentence. So you'll begin it with an orange who. So it might be the girl, the boy, the mum, the dad, and that's your first part of your sentence. And then you'll go on to what are they doing? So the boy is playing what? Green, football. And lastly, the blue one, where? In the garden. And you use the colours as a visual aid to help build that sentence. Think. Key messages. So one size does not fit all. It's not going to be the same for every family. You all have different demands. And you all have different children who are all individuals. So really take what I'm saying and apply it to how it suits you best. Importance of routine. Consistent expectations for your children. Consistency so they know what they're doing will really help their mental health in this. So learning is everywhere. I've tried to give you examples of situations where learning can happen. So baking, folding the bed sheets. It doesn't have to be planned academic paperwork. So your child's sitting with a piece of paper. You know, get creative, get them involved, and that'll maintain your positive relationships with them as well. Concentration span, what is expected? So I'm not sure if I said this earlier, I can't remember. But a child's concentration is 2 to 5 minutes per year of life. So a child of 5 should be able to sit and concentrate for about 20 minutes. A child of 10, 40 minutes, etc. Just to know that you might have to lower your expectations. And in fact, learning in school will not be consistent across the whole day. There is time for breaks in school as well. Adapting learning for different age groups. So if you've got older children as well, have a file of independent work that they can be doing whilst you're working with the younger children. Getting them both involved in a shared project as well is great. So the older children can do more of the writing and the younger children more of the creative side maybe, and they can work together on it as well. Quality over quantity. So again, not sitting for hours, expecting high levels of work from your children. You know, it's much better to have 20-minute slots, half an hour slots, where your children are focused and motivated to do the work, and then allow downtime. Most of all, enjoy it. Enjoy this time. You'll never get this time when your children are at this age and you're at home, you can spend so much quality time. So don't let the academic side worry you too much. Your children's and your own happiness, health, and well-being is the most important. I think that is all. Oh, some useful links. I'm not sure if all these will work, if you can access them in the Philippines. If you can't, let me know, and I can access the resources for you and share them. So thanks very much, everyone. 6-hour school days. Yeah, that's in England. I'm not sure if it's the same in the Philippines. I hope it made sense for you. I still saw comments saying you can't read the slides. Hopefully that was sorted. But hopefully I can share. Oh, look, the comments have just. All right, I'll go through the comments and post back to you if you've commented. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy this time with your children. Thank you.